Hello! Welcome back to another Scratch tutorial. In this one I'm going to be covering the data and more blocks section over here. So as you can see, there are a couple of buttons here. And today we're going to be exploring what you can do with them. Let's start over here with the data. We can make a variable, and what happens is that this little box shows up. You can give it a name. Let's call it apples. We can make it a cloud variable, which means it's stored on the server. So if someone else comes to view your project and changes that variable, then if they come back, that variable will still be changed. And then we can make it for this sprite only so that other sprites can't read it, or we can make it so that other sprites can read it. So yeah, let's make this a cloud variable. Alright. So now it has to connect. So now we have this variable called apples, and you can see over here there's a little white cloud symbol, which means it's a cloud variable. We can change it by an amount we want. You see, if we change it by 50 and double click, you can see it goes up by 50. Or we could change it by 233. It doesn't really matter, and it'll do exactly what you want it to. There's also these show and hide variables. The hide variable will just make this visual go away, and the show variable will put it back. Relatively simple. And then lists are a little bit more complicated. Like variables, you can give it a name. We'll call it applesauce. And again, you can make it just for this sprite or for all sprites. You can create it, and you can see that it's right here. And we can click this little plus button here, and it'll open up this so we can add an item to the list. So we can also add text in these things, so it isn't just numbers or a combination of numbers and text or other symbols. Also with variables, the set button you can set a variable to text. Actually, you see, it says currently only numbers can be stored in cloud variables. So cloud variables themselves can only store numbers, but if I make a variable, make sure cloud variable is unchecked and call it offline apples, then this can be set to say hello world. As you can see, it shows it right there. Also, if you double click on a variable, you can see it changes how it shows. So now it's just the variable number, and it does not show the text, the name of the variable. And now you've created a slider, and you can slide this, and it normally goes to from 0 to 100, but you can also, if I right click on this, set slider min and max, and now we can set a minimum of say negative 233 and a maximum of 610. So now you can see it goes from negative 233 to, if I can actually click on the slider, there we go, 610. Yeah, so with lists, a lot of things we can do. The show and hide lists are just about exactly the same as the show and hide variables. They just make this thing disappear and reappear. Add thing to the list. You can change this thing whatever you want, and as you can see, it's added to the list. You can also delete a specific item from a list. You can see there's a number here, and we can say maybe I want to delete this second item of applesauce because I don't. And as you can see, the second item is hello, so if I double click on this, the hello goes away. There's also a last option, or all. The last option is pretty self-explanatory, deletes the last item of the list, and delete all will delete all items in the list, so now you can see it's empty again. Insert thing at one of the list. So this one's interesting. So this will insert it at a specific point in the list. So say I want to make the second item of this knit. So I can change this to a 2, and as you can see, it puts it in as the second item, whereas this add whatever you want will only ever add it to the end. And of course with this, you can, there we go, so you can see we set it to last, and that'll basically do the same thing as this. It'll add it as the last item of the list, and random, which will put it at a random point in the list. Yeah. Replace an item with thing. So say like item 9 here is knit, and you actually decide you want it to be thing, you can say take item 9 and replace it with thing, and you can see it changes to thing. These two are pretty simple. Item, and then you put a number in here. It'll just give you which, if you go down to that number, it'll give you what it says there. So say I want item 7, and as you can see it's knit, it'll give you knit, or if you want item 12, it will give you whatever you want, as you can see here. The length will just give you the number of items in the list, so as you can see they're numbered 1 through 15, so this will give you the number 15. Applesauce contains thing. This will check if the list contains this item. It's pretty self-explanatory. And that's really just about it for these variables and lists. So we can make a block, call it more apples, and you can see there's this options button here. We can add a number input, a string input, and a boolean input, and a label text. The number input, the inputs basically allow you to give your block numbers or texts or booleans. So the string input will be name of apples, and then the boolean will be cloud or not. And then actually I'm not sure what this label, so I think this label text is so that you can like put more text in between to make your script more readable. So I'll just put applesauce here. There we go. Okay. Yeah. Alright. So now we can say here, we can say 5 apples, and we'll name them all Bobby. We'll name them all Bob. And then we'll say if the sprite is touching the mouse pointer, then it'll be cloud variable. If it's not touching mouse pointer, then it'll be not cloud variable. Now, control. So we'll say repeat for the number of apples. Then we'll have an if then else. We say if cloud or not is true, that means it's a cloud variable. So we change just apples by 1, and if it's not cloud, then we'll change offline apples by 1. And in both instances, we'll add name of apples to our list. So I'm just gonna actually delete all of applesauce. Set both offline apples and regular apples to 0. Show offline apples and apples. And now, as you can see, if I do this, then offline apples increases by 5. We can actually say, we can put that in a forever loop when the green flag is clicked, and now it'll always be counting up offline apples, but if I put my mouse here, it'll count up regular apples. And you can see that we can change this name to Rob, or perhaps to Blob, or to Banana, and it'll add that to the list as we told it to do. We can make this say maybe 100 apples. Take it out of the forever loop. Now if we double click this, you can see it goes through 100 apples named Banana. We can also change this from touching mouse pointer to say 9 plus 10 equals 21. Then we'll add it to regular apples, and as you can see, it adds it to offline apples. But yeah, that's about it for this video. I'll see you in the next one. Goodbye.